I'm pleased to welcome our next speaker. She's the General Manager of Amway Australia and New Zealand, a DSA board member, and brings 20 years experience to the channel through marketing, operations and sales roles. Today she'll be discussing the topic of conscious or unconscious biasness within the workplace, whether or not she has faced it throughout her career, and how she ensures this is not occurring within her own business. Please welcome Christine Terrill.
Okay, this is a really interesting and quite topical conversation for us because we just went through unconscious bias training at Amway. And when I thought back on my career, I thought, I think I'm pretty lucky. I can probably count on one hand the number of times that I've really felt discriminated because of gender. So the first time was we were at a dinner. I was probably 25, 26, young and thin and beautiful back then. This is what happens in your 40s. We were sitting down for dinner, and because I'm polite, I'm Canadian, I'm polite, I just kind of asked around and said, does anyone want a drink before we sit down for dinner? So I went and got a few drinks, put them down for the guys, and then midway through dinner, the senior executive at the end of the table turned to me and said, hey honey, can you get me a drink? And I was really quite horrified because we were in a restaurant. There was, service there. Luckily though, and I say luckily because I had a very fiery temper back then, a friend of mine, a coworker, stood up and said, he said, go get your own drink, Bob. And so I think one of the questions we're going to talk about later from Paul is what can men do differently, and I think having men kind of recognize that and step in gets a better reaction than if a woman does, whether we like it or not. So I thought that was quite funny. And then the second one was more recently in my career, where I was applying for the job that I have now, and my competition was an older white male with 30 years in the channel. And it was just assumed throughout the organization, up and down, that he would get the job because I wasn't qualified. And when I got the job, I underestimated the shock that would cause the organization. And it also really shocked me that I had so many women come up to me and say, I can't believe they gave the job to a woman. Because I'm thinking what year was it? 2015. Like surely we're beyond gender, but we're not. And these were young women, like women in their 20s, saying, oh, it's so good to see a female executive. And that really shocked me. So I think there's still a way to go. Anyways, back to our own organization. So in terms of unconscious bias, we had to do a test. And I thought, I'm not biased. I have no biases at all. I treat everyone equally. So I do this test, and it comes across that I have a real aversion to stepping kind of outside of my comfort zone. So I don't like to try new food. I'm uncomfortable around other languages, other cultures. And I thought, okay, what can I do to address that? So along with this course, we were given a model by Monash University, and they had 3 things in the model. So one was check your distance. And check your distance is about taking yourself outside of your comfort zone. So if I'm comfortable over here in my very safe white world eating craft dinner, I admit I love craft dinner, I need to go over to Asia and be immersed in a different culture. And so I've been trying to do that more consciously when I travel, to really try new foods, meet new people, and try new experiences. And I had a real aha moment last year. I was in Asia, everyone around me was from Asia as well, and I had a free Saturday. And I said to them, what should I do? What should I do on the weekend? All of them said, you need to go to this street corner because people dress up in anime characters and it's really, really fun. And I'm like, what? Really? And then I kind of turned it on its head and I thought, hang on. Here I am in a country with 1 billion people, and there's people around me representing probably 20 billion people telling me that this is a good thing to do. And maybe I need to check my bias and actually go do it. And I did, and it was fantastic. But it was really sort of interesting to turn the lens from looking at it from a Western culture to the culture that I was in. So that's the first one, check your distance. The second one is check yourself, right? Look at things that you're doing that may be consciously or unconsciously creating a particular opinion. And I know for me, one of the things I used to do is call people girls and boys. And I think I've actually picked it up from the Australian culture because it's a very common thing to say, right? Does everyone agree? And I just realized, I think that's really disrespectful. And it really hit me a couple weeks ago. We were in a meeting, and someone described a senior partner at a leading institution as, well, she's a smart girl, isn't she? And I just thought, how disrespectful is that to a senior partner who has put in years and years of work, walked, her way up through the organization. And I just thought, okay, I'm not going to say that anymore. I'm not going to use girl, I'm not going to use boy. I'm not going to use ethnicity or race. I'm not going to say, oh, it's the black girl or it's the Chinese boy. I'm going to say, it's the short guy in the yellow shirt with dark hair. And so really checking yourself on that. And then last but not least, it's check others. And I had a very topical example just today. I'm not going to name the person because I don't want to create any embarrassment. But the description was about Lucy Turnbull. And the next comment that followed was the wife of the Prime Minister. And I challenged the person on that because she's certainly an experienced woman in her own right. And as an afterthought, oh, and by the way, she's married to the Prime Minister. But it was really quite interesting how that becomes her defining title. And I laugh because when I was growing up, my mom was a teacher, and I had an older brother. So I was either Mrs. Croker's daughter, wherever I went, or I was Carl's little sister. And then years later, I'd been frequenting this one restaurant a lot, and my brother happened to go there without me. And he goes to pay the bill, and the guy says, oh, are you Carl's sister? And I was like, yes, finally, I have an identity of my own. So that was really good. So that's kind of what I've learned from an unconscious bias thing and what I try to do sort of in my day-to-day life. In terms of our company, how we address it, I think first and foremost, we put everyone through the training. And again, what surprised me was how many staff came up to me and said, wow, Christine, I didn't even know I had biases. And this kind of highlighted the biases that we had. I'm going to get some water. Sorry. The second thing we do is we promote on merit. And I'm really quite proud of that because I think, again, coming back to recognizing your unconscious biases, I know that I have some biases in the types of people I like to work with. And I know there's certain groups of people where I consistently have conflict. And I work on that because I know that when I have conflict with these people, chances are it's me, because over the course of my career, I can see it's always the same type of person that I have conflict with. So it's kind of a personal goal of mine to really not let that bias my hiring decisions. But if we look at our board at Amway, when I first joined the company, there was one woman who sat on our exec committee, and she was the one who took the minutes. And when I look now, we've got an almost equal, 45% women, 55% men, and we have quite a diverse executive team as well. So I'm really quite proud of that. And then last but not least, sorry, my notes. We really promote this from our business opportunity. When we talk about Amway, we talk about the fact that anyone can join. As long as you're over 18 and you're not bankrupt, you're welcome to join us. And so it's really a platform that we talk about throughout our organization. And I think because of that, staff pick up on that and really feel that they have equal opportunity. So that's really it, I think. So I'll leave you with those three things. Check your distance, check yourself, and certainly don't be afraid to check others. Thank you.